Hey, what's up? Oh my God, is that Bowie?
Yeah,
Bowie just
Sean's having an anxiety attack.
the minute we kick off.
Did he know we were going live? Is he he doesn't want to be on air or what?
He's probably going to be doing that for a while, so I'll just mute myself as y'all intro the show.
He doesn't do that when we're watching him.
No, Tess is outside doing something. I think probably doing some gardening or something, and someone's probably talking to her. He gets all, selfish.
Gotcha. Yeah, he sounds unhinged right now. How do I update the? I don't even care. So what's up, Luke? How you doing?
Oh, I'm fucking great. Just busy as fuck, Played soccer at fucking 10 o'clock this morning. Oh, terrible.
It's pretty brutal out right now.
Well, it was actually okay in the first 30 minutes, but after that, it got pretty nasty. Yeah, man, I'm doing good. Just traveling a lot, working a lot, and that's about it. Yeah, and Tess and I have been doing some fun things on the side, so we've just been busy, And I hate this podcast, so can't even remember what its name is.
You can't remember what its name is?
No. Whenever I see Derek in public, I immediately have amnesia. I'm like, the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Who is this guy? Oh, it's some fucker I host a podcast with.
Would you rather me be like, the Football Yanks? You haven't heard of our award-winning, trophy-laden podcast?
Not yet. One day. One day. Yeah, so we I didn't mention this to you, Derek, but Shannon's brother listens to this podcast. I guess we hadn't hung out with her family yet.
Okay.
So this came after we recorded last week. But he listens to the podcast. He referenced several like recurring themes on the podcast. And so like, nice. He clearly listens to it like regularly. And then we went into a sandwich shop. And the dude who was like working the cash register was like, "Oh, you have the podcast? That thing's sick."
Nice.
Type thing. So yeah, I got like recognized in public for the first time. But one of Shannon's brother's favorite themes or recurring themes is the dysfunctional guy Luke, who nobody ever knows where he is or what he's doing. And I was like, dude, that's not a joke. Like, we don't know what's going on with that.
It's a common sentiment among other friends in my social circles, in my personal life as well. They're like, oh yeah, because I tell them stories and they're like, oh yeah, this Luke guy sounds like, he's just living his best life. And I'm like, yeah, he is. And we're just along for the ride.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think I shovel a lot of my dysfunctional energy onto this podcast. I'm not quite as dysfunctional in my day-to-day life.
Right, yeah. I have to explain that to people. I'm like, it is I think the podcast like couldn't be a lower priority. Like it has to be the absolute lowest priority, because like directionally his life seems to be great. He just does not give a fuck about us, and there's nothing we can do about it.
It's like a character I play on this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's just been Sundays in the past like 2-3 months. Like I don't even make it to my 11 soccer anymore. It's just like I'm usually out of town.
Yeah, right.
It's been a little rough.
Right. So do you remember when we were like, hey, what day and time works best for you? And you picked a day and time. And I don't think that it has occurred at that time.
I had a different job when I said that day. Maybe not.
Maybe.
I don't think that's true, actually.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's true either. We can check the tapes, but...
Well, I'm sorry that I ruined both of your lives.
That's fine. We've been plugging along.
But, he's got plenty of time to make himself fresh squeezed orange juice in the morning. So, I'm glad. I'm just happy he fits us in.
Is that what that is?
No.
Yeah.
Is it?
You made fresh squeezed orange juice?
It is fresh squeezed orange juice, but I didn't make it.
Okay.
It's like, it's not like a Tropicana. I can't drink that shit anymore. It's very acidic. Anyway.
The orange juice will will absolutely. I'll have acid reflux for the rest of the day. Like
Ooh.
it messes me up. Mimosas are like even worse because it's like alcohol and
Oh,
the
dude, I
acidic.
start every time I have a mimosa, I start sweating a little bit. It's kind of like meat sweats. It's immediately like a little bit right here. I'm like, oh no, what am I doing?
Yeah. It's actually just anxiety. Like I start thinking about my 20s. Like, yeah. Yep.
Sounds like we need to find a bar to watch games at with bottomless mimosas this season.
Dude, I don't know, man.
Or orange crushes. Like I would fuck up an orange crush.
I love orange crushes. I prefer orange crushes to mimosas for sure.
100%. We should start a Google survey, see all of our fans how they feel about that. Because I'm all 100% on the orange crush side.
I'm team mimosa.
It's a
Get
very
the fuck out of here.
it's a strong reaction.
You thought that was a strong reaction. You should see when he meets me in public unintended. I mean, shit.
Yeah. Well, that is normal. That's an appropriate response.
That's a common reaction. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is the preseason for many clubs. I don't know if Tottenham could afford a preseason tour.
Yeah, I haven't seen any scores posted.
What are you guys up to? Have you been following it at all?
Yeah, they're in Japan right now.
Okay.
They did a match against like Millwall or like a League One team like that, then against QPR, and then now we're in Japan. And we just
How excited was Bentancur for the Asia tour?
He just must be so confused. He's like
he is not there.
True. He's probably still he's still recovering. That's good because then you might have to explain the difference between Japan and South Korea to him. And
he did not know in those public comments.
Yeah.
To be fair to the guy, like they did do that whole apology thing, so I hope that whatever worked out, but certainly not the smartest thing to say.
Yeah, he was I think gonna come away from that fairly clean. We talked about this last week. Like he was gonna sort of get away with that, and then Enzo Fernandez and the Argentinian team did what they did, and it just sort of like drew attention to what Bentancur said once again.
Well, there was a dialogue between Sonny and Bentancur kind of in public, right when it happened, and that hasn't really happened in the Argentina kind of situations. It's felt like, but I also haven't followed it super closely.
What do you mean? Like
have there been statements from Enzo or any of the other players about it? I haven't seen it.
Oh yeah. Oh
Did
yeah.
they all come out? Yeah.
Dude, basically the entire Chelsea team unfollowed Enzo on Instagram and then made statements about how it was like unrelenting racism and hatred. What has Enzo and the rest of whatever other Argentinian players in that? What have they said publicly about it? Enzo has made a public apology, and I guess there's been private handlings within the club. I don't know. So that is one of my questions around this is is that Enzo was not the only person singing. Right. Like he streamed it, but like
he was on camera doing it, which makes a big difference now.
Yeah, he streamed it. He was on camera doing it, but it was the Argentina bus. He just is like the face of what occurred. I think. I don't know. Yeah, so there's definitely been a lot of discourse around that, I guess.
But there has been a public apology.
I believe so. And the club has made statements about it, and several players on the club have made statements about it. I would like the organizing bodies to ban him. Do something.
Ban him for an amount of games or like international games. I don't know if they could do it in the Premier League, but in some ways I don't know. Yeah, I don't know like what law, like what federation can affect what, Some, like maybe they can only take him away from international games. He should definitely not play football for a little bit and have to go through some kind of process. I don't really know what that looks like. Even if it's a face, there has to be something. The difference, I think, in the Bentancur side, and this isn't really like a Chelsea Tottenham thing in my mind, was there was like immediately a direct public correspondence between Son, who is the target of the conversation, and Bentancur. So I think that was there was a little bit of a different dynamic in that, and it wasn't like a celebratory thing. It was more of a interview gone really like in a bad direction. And not to say that those statements were less or more, or all these statements are reprehensible. But the open dialogue is the real important thing. See where that goes. But doing that in celebration is pretty raunchy.
Really weird all around.
A lot of weird energy around the Argentinian team right now, too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I would say that Enzo has been pretty brain dead in general around this whole thing. Like, it's a song that originates from their World Cup final against France. They had just won Copa America. They weren't playing France. So, like, why even spin up that song? Especially with several French players on the team, your club team. And then he went to I haven't seen this, so that like I've just read about this, so I believe it's likely true. But he went to his like childhood club, I think River Plate, and he did there was some kind of ceremony about him by that club, and the fans were singing that song, and he like donned a River Plate kit again. And that was after all of the fallout from this. Like, he kept that engagement and did it, which I would just cancel that and put distance between. I don't know what's going on with my camera. Put distance between myself and that nonsense for the time being. But yeah, really, really stupid. We covered at length last week. Yeah, go ahead.
One thing I'll add to that is just, to Luke's question, like, I think in thinking about this, Argentina views themselves as like this marginalized soccer power because they're not European. And so they want to beat their chest every time they win something. But I think it comes from the fact that, quite frankly, given the backdrop of not just this, but the racist comments from certain people in Argentina towards the U.S. players and other incidents, it's a nothing burger of a country trying to draw attention to itself. And going after France is a good way to do that. And then just being completely blind to like the other side of that, which is, to your point, reprehensible comments and perceptions towards the rest of the world. And, it's not gonna, now it's just drawing negative attention to themselves, which makes it all the more stupid.
Yeah, they're a soccer superpower, so they're not exactly a nothing burger, which I think makes this more problematic. There's more eyeballs on it.
Deal with it, yeah.
Yeah. I think they're probably number one on the FIFA rankings.
Well, I meant as a country, less so than a soccer federation, but sure, yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know. They feel like they're marginalized because they don't have a big name on the world, as big a name on the world stage, and that they have the best player in the world for so long, and so I don't know.
Yeah, I think the dynamic with the Argentinian team kind of like exemplified Copa America. There was a lot of that like chest beating, bravado forward. Yep. And when that kind of thing gets out of control and it's a bunch of dudes fucking, high as fuck on adrenaline, like, people lose their minds. And like the guy's 23, hopefully he can learn from it. Like, I don't really know where to go from there. Like, it's not okay what he said, or like, and having the wherewithal to stream it too. Like, that's a pretty basic thing. These guys get media training. Like, it's not like they're not just like idiot footballers. They have lives, they personal people. They get things like media training from their clubs. Like, come on, what are we doing here?
Well, I do think there's some kind of cultural disconnect in general, that goes for Bentancur and Enzo. Just there seems to be more acceptance of that sort of language in South America. I'm trying to not be insensitive in this statement, but I'm just like judging based on the body of work and the response to this, where like a lot of their like leadership and their federation, and I think some of the players have basically said, stop being so sensitive, it's a joke type thing.
It's certain countries, right? And to your point, right?
What's
Like,
the
it's
joke
not like
exactly?
we're generalizing South America. It's certain countries that frankly lack the diversity in their teams that other countries do. Because I don't see this shit coming out of Colombia, Brazil, Ecuador, right? It's certain countries that you're right, have this climate where it's acceptable, and that needs to change.
Yeah. We never even talked about fucking Nunes. Like,
going
Kofa
into the stands and
Kofa
fighting.
was fucking wild.
That's kind of like a little bit what I was trying to get at, and like without going into like the broad brush of like describing a culture, I think that tournament and the way that those games were played, there was this like unending like bravado. I can do anything and nobody will fucking like question me. Like there was like always that like little undertone, like I'm above it. Like it doesn't matter. Competition is this. Being a human being doesn't really matter when you're trying to win, essentially, or when you've won. That Darwin Núñez stuff was crazy, and I do feel for his family. Like, but a player going in and fighting fans, like that speaks also to the organization of that tournament.
He picked up like a folding chair and chucked it in the crowd.
Yeah,
too.
like what is like that was some serious Ron Artest shit.
Yeah.
Like, all right, Ron Artest, the dude. watch that ESPN documentary about that fight. It's so interesting. Anyway, like what are they doing? That tournament was like the most poorly run tournament I could have imagined.
Well, right, and that was that incident where it was perpetuated by Colombia fans supposedly, right? And then we saw what happened to reinforce that perception in the final, which, yeah, I mean, just to
people climbing
points,
through
absolute fucking bedlam. Yeah, die hard through the vents.
Oh my god, incredible.
Yeah, dude. Copa America and CONCACAF tournaments are fucking wild, man. I was trying to find it. I saw this GIF, like, I think on Reddit while the two tournaments were going on between Copa America and Euro. And, like, for the Euros, it was, like, some guys in suits, like, shaking hands with each other or something. It was a GIF. And then for Copa America, it was like a WWE match. Like somebody was getting hit with a folding chair, and like they want to. So they do have a chip on their shoulder where they think, well, they are like they're collectively they produce some of the best talents in the world, but they are not at the same level. Yeah. Yep, they don't have the leagues. They don't, and they're not viewed. The Copa America is not viewed with the same level of prestige that the Euros are, and they're not doing themselves any favors with this. The obvious reffing, corruption, and the insanity happening from the fans as well.
I like the frenetic quality of the Copa America. I think it is very entertaining and unique. But like you've got to like find a way to keep the frenetic play on the field. Like it can be like, you know, bravado driven, all like all about passion, but keep the fans like in a safe space. Like make sure the stadium's not, talk to the players about jiving up the fans too much. Like they're entertainers. These guys are entertainers. They should know not to get the fucking fans hyped up like that or go into the stands and fight them. Sorry,
it's unfortunate because there's Colombia fans that didn't participate and weren't part of the problem, and it feel like I actually feel sorry for them because the quality of what Colombia put on the field was great throughout the tournament. It was a great final and it was a great showing from them, but it's overshadowed by all of this other bullshit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, is it worth talking about preseason still?
There's still, yeah. I mean, there's definitely some stuff to cover, I guess.
We want to talk about the scummiest scumbags in CONCACAF.
Who's that? Canada.
Yeah, I guess Canada. It's hard to. I guess it would be Canada right now.
Yeah, it's tough to say, right? Like Canada was
my
like
first
hold my
thought
beer,
was Mexico.
Yeah.
My first thought was Mexico, but then I had to think about what's happened this week.
Just a little cheating.
Yeah, so they, Derek, you I think you had. Did you have some thoughts on this? I guess like it seemed like you were like geared up to talk about this, so I don't want to steal your thunder.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as background for the listeners that might not be familiar with it, I mean, it broke this week that it came up acutely because the women's Olympic team was caught spying on, I don't know, New Zealand. And at first, like Heather was like, Canada's spying on New Zealand. And I was like, I don't think there's a political issue or war brewing between Canada and New Zealand. And then I was like, oh wait, it's soccer. But this brought to light like a whole broader issue that people have like been complacent
they were using
with.
Drones, right?
Yeah, they're using drones.
Yeah.
They were using people too, but yeah, acutely in the Olympics, they're using drones to spy on New Zealand, which I thought was aggressive if you're going to bomb New Zealand. But that's how they got caught, and then there's been fallout from that. In terms of the head coach, it was fired. I think yesterday, some staffers were fired. I think more people probably will end up being fired because apparently this is pretty pervasive. It went on with the men's team. It's again, I think it's really shitty from the aspect of like this isn't good for CONCACAF. It's not good for Canada, which had become more of a powerhouse team recently.
Yeah, their men's team's been good.
Yeah, and the women had won, I think, the last Olympics. Right?
Yeah, so this is their defense. They took a 6-point deduction for the group stages, so their defense in the Olympics is basically over.
Yeah,
it would take a lot for them to recover from starting at -6, but we'll see.
And I think probably my bigger problem that I call attention. I think, like obviously that's my perspective, but I have a real issue with apparently the U.S. Soccer Federation knew this was happening, and part of what they said publicly was like basically we brushed it under the rug because we were co-bidding on the World Cup, which I think it's fucked from a competitiveness standpoint to not report it because I think they had a duty to, and B, it's even worse to do it for selfish reasons like not wanting to screw up the World Cup bid. And now you see it bubble up in the Olympics, which is maybe one of the worst possible ways for this to kind of rise up if they had just rooted it out earlier. But they had been sneaking into stadiums and stuff and spying, and security had caught them and all this stuff going back years, and apparently we were aware of it.
Oh, well, if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
All right, well, we got riots.
Just ask Man City.
And Bill Belichick.
Yep. Bill Belichick. Deflate those
guys.
balls. Coincidentally, one of our friends, our close friends, his two favorite teams, Man City and the Patriots.
I saw Tom Ryan last night. Yeah.
How was the show? How'd Jess like it?
Jess didn't make it because she wasn't feeling well, but luckily Heather was able to go, and Heather actually likes Blink-182 a lot, so it was a really good show.
Sweet.
I'll throw $300 at seeing them every time they tour because I don't know how much longer it's going to happen. But
yeah, when I went with Luke, I don't remember if we've covered this on the podcast, but it got me in a lot of trouble.
I think I made us cover it last year.
Yeah. Yeah, Shannon wanted to go. She asked me months ahead of time. I was like,
I don't mistake.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to see the corpse of Blink-182. And then the day before, Luke invited me, and I had nothing going on, and and I was like, yeah, let's do it. Was called an asshole because I think objectively I was an asshole in that scenario.
You were like, it was in the moment though. You were a momentary. Asshole.
Didn't Luke get in trouble for the same thing? Because you two jackasses basically unintentionally colluded in this stupidity.
Yeah, the way I recall it, Luke, you can correct the record. But
I'm sure I will.
I I went to the show and I said, man, I got in a lot of trouble for this. And it was before the show. It was the day of or something. I was like, I'm getting a lot of heat over this. And you were like, me too. And I was like, well, do you want to just bring Tessa? And you were like, no. And I was like, that'll get both of us out of trouble. And you were like, I'm married. I don't have to care about the amount of trouble I'm getting in or something like that.
The latter does sound like something I would say.
Luke's got those mimosa sweats now.
No, just orange juice today. But I think that it was more of a scheduling thing that I just dropped something else to go to Blink-182.
Oh, okay.
Tessa does not give a flying fuck about Blink-182.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shannon
I don't really either, but it was a fun show.
Shannon wanted to see the opener. I forget their name. Turnstile. She was more.
Turnstile was for sure more fun to watch than Blink-182.
Yeah. Anyway, where were we going? We were talking about Canada. So 6-point deduction. Nobody cares about Canada. I didn't know that about the bid. That's interesting because the U.S. has stuck their nose for good reason, into like FIFA. They were instrumental in like Sepp Blatter's downfall and that sort of crime ring that was being managed with FIFA. That got taken down by the United States, the FBI, I think, which is weird because they're a domestic organization, but
they were committed. They were working within the U.S., so they had jurisdiction.
Oh yeah, okay. That makes sense.
With that fat dude, whatever his name was.
The fat dude.
He had curly hair. It's like Chuck Glasser or something like that.
Oh, like the director of the FBI or something?
No. He was the director of the U.S. Federation. I'm going to find his name.
Oh,
just pound on everybody.
Right. Anyway, so yeah, usually the U.S. is above board on stuff like that. That is pretty self-serving and uncharacteristic, which makes it worse. Like I guess if we had a history of like ignoring stuff like that, yeah, then for whatever reason I'd be like, oh, whatever. To a degree, more of a degree than like the fact that we sort of stick our nose into everything. But in this case, where it served us, we turned a blind eye to it. So that's troubling. But
Chuck Blazer.
Ooh,
yeah,
that sounds like a porn name.
Yeah, I
almost.
know.
Chuck Blazer.
Yeah. Damn.
I'm not familiar with his work. But...
I'll make a note of that. He was part of that said crime ring and then became an FBI informant.
Okay. Yeah,
all right.
Remember that.
Another good ESPN 50 for 50.
Oh yeah, I'll have to watch that. I have not seen that.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I don't know. Is there more to cover there, Derek?
No.
I think I read that Jesse Marsh has somehow come out clean. Like I thought I read something about how
predates him. I think.
Well, he just got there, so he kind of has probably plausible deniability. He'd be like, I don't know. Though Jesse Marsh could be someone to cheat like that. Like I wouldn't put it past him. He has a crazy look in his eye sometimes. That guy. Yeah,
he also needs to because he's a terrible coach. So anything he could do.
Oh, I don't think he's a terrible coach.
He's a terrible coach. Leeds will never be the same again after him.
Well, I think that's as much Marco Bielsa's fault as Jesse Marsh's.
Yeah,
but
fair enough.
He did well at Salzburg with Red Bull Salzburg. Yeah, he did some okay things. He's definitely a better coach than Greg Berhalter.
Dude, there's like a small influx of new members of the Discord now that I fixed the Discord link.
People are actually
is it not linking or no? I had but
there
wasn't limiting me. I had been on the podcast. I was gonna say I invited some people, but yeah.
Yeah, the podcast link in the show description, it was somebody. My brother pointed out to me that it was dead, and I guess Discord, if unless you specify otherwise, there's like a 30-day phase out on a Discord link, so I had to set up a permanent link. Anyway, so yeah, shout out to there's a guy 442 joined, and then another dude just joined, but yeah, I don't know, more activity on the Discord is good. Luke maybe will say something there one day.
I've said one
but
thing already. I
oh, you
announced
did? Okay.
myself. I said I'm here.
There was a reason I pulled up Discord though. I don't remember. I'm trying to look through the channels, but yeah, Luke, have you caught any? I'm obviously not watching a lot of the preseason, but I did regrettably watch the Celtic Chelsea match yesterday.
gem.
We could talk about Tottenham's preseason, but I want to hear what you think about that. That was kind of a weird game. Like no.
Yeah, did you watch it?
I watched some of it, and then I watched the highlights. I've watched about 30 minutes of it, and then I just watched the highlights to cover the rest. Really poor defending throughout. That was it was unstructured team.
So we set up with an extremely high line, looking like Ange Ball out there, which is terrifying because, yeah, I mean that got found out pretty quick in the PL, and Tottenham cratered, and so I don't love the the look there. And then we just seem to, I mean, a lot of this is, I mean, it's not even rust. It's going to be like teething with this brand new system and brand new coach. And there's not been much time at all with these players. And many of the most important pieces of the squad are still gone. And the rumor is they're not even going to join up. Like there's no Palmer, there's no Gallagher, there's no Cucurella, who is the most seasoned of our I guess backs, left back, right back, who at inverting into the middle. Yeah. No, at inverting into the middle. That is a new thing. Definitely that's a new role for James. And James looked good in that role in the first match against, who was it? I already forgot. It was Wrexham. He looked decent against Wrexham in the first half. He looked exposed. Him and Lavia looked exposed in this one.
Don't you feel like that's a gross misuse of like his talent and effectivity?
Yes, my hope is that they will invert the left side more than the right.
Yeah.
I my hope is that they're using the preseason to expose James to those ideas, James and Gusto to those ideas, so that if they need to make tactical tweaks, that's an option. Yeah. But then I'm really hoping we're inverting the left once we have the full squad, but we'll see. So, but yes, I agree. I agree that it is a misuse of both of their. If you're inverting the right, like Gusto looks even worse than James. Gusto looked terrible in both
square peg.
Gusto, I would have bigger. Reece James has the technical ability to do it. The question is if they can make the half turn. If they can make half turn, then they can do it. I don't. Gusto's so young; it might not be in his pocket yet.
Yeah, James played DM for Wigan the whole season. I think I don't think he played right back at all for them, and he was as a loanee. He ended the season as his captain and as their captain and MVP. So he has the skills, but I do like, where is he more valuable? I think probably bombing up the right wing, but then you have to factor in he gets injured a lot, and that is more demanding to be bombing up and down the wing all game versus inverting into the middle, especially if you have possession of the ball for a lot of the match.
Well, he'll still be able to make similar runs into the spaces, but it's really going to be about him coming inside and making the run inside instead of making the run outside. So
Yeah.
he'll still get forward. It'll be interesting. And the Wrexham result was 2-2, right?
Yeah.
So
But
definitely
yeah,
a
I
step
think
up
they
in class to Brendan Rodgers Celtic.
sure. And Celtic, it is worth mentioning that I think that was their final preseason match, and they like the Scottish League season starts next week, so they're like fully baked, if that makes sense. Chelsea are this is their second preseason match, and the first match, so they I think they beat Wrexham in the first half where they had their starters on. The second half, I think, is where they let the 2 goals in. I could be wrong about it. Maybe it was 1-1 both halves. But the more concerning thing for me is they have, in terms of their defense in possession, they have all of their pieces there, and I think this was pretty close to what they would like to be their standard back line. So in possession with James and Verding, they will go to a 3 at the back. And those 3 in this match were Badiashile, Coltwell, and Wesley Fofana. I guess Tosin might be like interchangeable there. I'm not sure who the best 3 will be. But anyway, these are all great players. Maybe Badiashile isn't at the level of regard as the other 2, and they were just exposed. They didn't know, they were too far apart. They like in a 3 at the back system, I think you need to stay more narrow and force the ball out wide, and they were trying to cover the wide areas, and they were just getting ripped apart up the middle. They were just getting played through, and that is concerning. Like all of that is like that just looks so bad.
Well,
Chelsea got exposed repeatedly in that game.
it's not like there weren't starter quality players across the pitch in the other positions either. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a good look. Granted, there's a bunch of people coming back, but it's not like we started with our C team out there or a bunch of scrubs.
Yeah.
I mean, Nkunku's in that lineup, you know.
Yeah.
Did Mudryk play? I can't remember.
Yeah,
He
Mudryk
did.
started. Madueke started, right? Those are guys that started a lot of Premier League games last season.
Madueke looks confused.
Well, again, the position's stupid for him, I think.
What, winger?
Playing like wing back, yeah, I don't think
He wasn't playing wing back. He
thought we were in a 3-4-2-1 with him. Well, I don't know where he was playing.
No, he is definitely very far forward and attacking. I
Look
think
at it
that
this way, right? Chelsea had a really good preseason last year where everybody seemed to kind of be understanding, and they had a really bad start to the season. So, truthfully, these preseason games are often not translatory to like the season.
Yeah, so that's true, but I'm concerned because the team, it doesn't look like they're, so a lot of why you see that is because teams don't go 100%. They're trying to get reps in without risking injuries, that sort of thing. And I guess later in the preseason you might send it a little more, so that's what you're seeing from Celtic. But so that's where I have concerns, but I agree generally with that. The point I was going to make on the lineup, and this is something we'll have to deal with as we analyze Chelsea over the coming season, is the like Maresca's system is very fungible. So like you kind of have to look at where the player's average position was and not the lineup that the media sets.
True.
But yeah, they're definitely playing. They were playing Noni pretty far forward, and there were moments where I'd like to see him take a shot, and it seemed like he's been instructed to look for. I mean, we were warned by Leicester fans that this would be Maresca values possession over all, and it is not the most fun style of soccer to watch. And I think that's a lot of like they're trying to walk it into the net. And so
Well, they're
Noni,
trying
where he
to
might
assert
have
control over the game. It's really about
yeah,
control. It's not about goals.
yep. And so Noni, like these positions he works himself in where he might have had to go last season with more freedom afforded to him by Pochettino, he seems to just get kind of stuck in the box and he doesn't understand where he should be putting the ball next. We'll see. He's also linked with Newcastle. Apparently he's agreed terms with Newcastle and he could be shipped off. So we'll see what happens with Noni. I don't know what option we have after that because they've said that they want Palmer in centrally, but they also appear to be playing Kuku and Chukwuemeka in the, I guess, Mazzala role, like attacking midfield type role that they were earmarking for Palmer. So maybe the plan is to have Palmer out on the right again. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
and
then
then
you've got no depth.
And what do you do with Gallagher? I think there's some Atletico Madrid talk there.
Yeah.
There's definitely needs to be like some trimming to that squad, and then like maybe one really important acquisition.
Yes.
Because the numbers are still high, right?
Yes. Gallagher needs to be shipped out. And
How is Sterling still here?
Money.
Nobody's gonna buy
Nobody
him.
can pay him. Nobody's gonna pay his.
We got Lukaku off the books, did we not?
He has agreed terms, but I don't think he's out yet. I think that Napoli tabled an offer of like 25 million and we want 35 million. So those negotiations are ongoing.
I can't believe we didn't accept that, but okay.
Yeah, we should have.
Jesus Christ.
But he has agreed terms with Napoli. I think that'll get done. He did not go on tour with the team, obviously. Notably, Trevoh Chalobah was left.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is an absolute shame. Like, it's just fucked up, in my opinion.
And he's not injured either.
No.
They said you can find a club.
Yeah, but he has said his camp, like, they signed him to a huge, like, an 8-year deal, I think, about a year ago. And he's basically said, I'm not in a rush to get out of here. Like, I'm going to be selective about the club that I go to, and you can't force me out. And, good for him.
So is he on one of those long, low wage, high benefit or high incentivized contracts?
I think that like all of them are on that now, except for I think Sterling and Lukaku are uniquely high paid, and maybe Chilwell. And Reece James is on high wages.
Reece James for sure.
Yeah, but
Fofana and Kongu. Wow, but there's a big drop. So you're right. It's really Lukaku, Sterling, and James, and so that's why, like, you think Sterling's got to be the next one to go. But to your point, we got to find somewhere.
Yeah, we signed him to a pretty long deal. He still thinks he can make it back into the England squad. He's out of his mind that he thinks that, but he believes. No, Raheem. Sorry. Sterling.
Wow, Raheem.
He thinks he can make his way back into the England squad, and so he's not, like, the only option really for him with his wages is Saudi. He likes living in London. He wants to get back into the England squad or attempt to do that. And I don't know. I don't think he's going. I think he's going to play out his contract with us. We still have Arissa Balaga on the books. He's waiting to see if Real
needs to be some trimming here and there.
Yeah. So it's been a weirdly inactive off season.
I think the Euros really have held Euros and CONCACAF happening at the same time. Really,
Copa
things.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of work to be done still. I'll tell you who the one positive of the 2 preseason matches that I've seen for Chelsea is Mark Gui, I think is how you say his name, or Gu. I've heard it pronounced both ways. 5 million from Barcelona. That dude looks the business.
He's a little smaller, right? Shorter.
He's like 6'1".
Is he that tall? Really?
I think so.
I thought he was like a short little dude. But
Yeah, I don't think he's not a small guy.
Yeah.
He's not, and he's built for the position, I think.
Oh, he's 6'2". Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's pretty tall. All right. Well, on the Spurs side, yeah, nothing crazy, just pretty standard like preseason games. Won both of them against not great competition. Actually, the Japanese team was pretty good in their mid-season form. Bergvall looks good. Bergvall's going to be a baller. Lucas Bergvall, dude, is sweaty. And Archie Gray looks good. Yeah, there's like we haven't really done too much. I feel like we're more on the side of like let's just see what happens, which is kind of the Tottenham way. But hopefully we make a couple more signings.
I thought I saw.
We just signed like a young Japanese player too.
South Korean.
Is he South Korean or Japanese?
Yeah.
South Korean. He'll come back in January. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's talk about Chiesa, which would be cool. We have the money to spend.
Oh yeah, he's for sale.
We got to get rid of fucking Emerson Royale. Fuck that player. Like I
ask when that's gonna happen.
I don't fucking question his commitment, but he is just not good enough.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
You guys have to have a lot of work left to do, right? Like you have a lot of like
probably two big signings, I would think. The Archie Gray was a big signing for a club like Tottenham.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that. But don't you have a lot to move on still? I haven't seen a lot of outgoings.
Hoiberg left, right?
Hoiberg is gone. He's going to Marseille with an obligation to buy.
Okay.
So yeah, there's been some of that. We've released Ryan Sessegnon. Jed Spence is looking really good actually, but if he's not in plans, he'll get sold this summer. So there'll be some movement. I just think that the outgoings are going to take a while.
It seems like it's early in the cycle for Tottenham and Chelsea compared to some other teams that I don't know.
Well, the Archie Gray signing is big, but Tottenham is worse only at one other thing than buying players. They're only worse at selling players. That's the only thing they're worse at than buying them. So we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty confident.
They're pretty bad at winning.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
individual
trophies
games,
too. Yeah.
We did just win the what was it? The World Japan Cup.
Oh, you had to concoct one to win?
Yeah, exactly. They had to come up with some marketing plan.
Yeah.
Diminish that one, but
yeah, great. Add that to the cabinet. What do you think of the Euro final? We didn't get your thoughts on that, Luke.
Super boring and exactly how you thought that game would play out. Like, I think Spain, better team. I think that England hung in there, but that game plan is just not really great. Just boring. It was very... You knew what was going to happen from the first minute, you know.
What did you think about him?
A goal might happen, a reaction will happen, and then the better team will win.
Mm-hmm.
Being a Harry Kane apologist, what do you think about him sticking with Harry Kane and Foden and some of the useless players in this tournament?
So, well, I think this is true for both Phil Foden and Harry Kane. They weren't playing in the right positions. The team wasn't playing around with their abilities.
Does Harry Kane normally play striker?
He always comes deep. You watch Bayern, he plays like that every fucking game. Well, he was 3 goals, so he was like second or tied. Like he plays like that every game. Why are you so surprised?
I saw him playing defense a lot.
He did play a lot of defense.
Dude, 3 or 4 times. I was like, who is that coming out of the England box with the ball? Oh, that's Harry Kane.
I would describe that as more of a coaching strategy than a playing style. But he always comes deep. The team wasn't built for what he could play, how he could play.
Yeah.
It's like Phil Foden is the same way. Like Phil Foden really shouldn't have that much freedom. Like stick him in. And Saka, I thought, was at one level one of the better players actually because he was consistent, but he never made runs in behind ever. or made a pass in behind the lines. Like Cole Palmer should have played more for sure. And I think that you could have played 2 up front and Bellingham next to Rice. It was just like the coaching was bad. It was so conservative. It was just really, really conservative. And I understand why Gareth Southgate did that, maybe because he doesn't have any better ideas. But the final was just boring. Like it was just set up to be a boring fucking game.
Yeah. I think that, and I'm not trying to like have a go at Derek. I think it was Derek who said this, that like there's this idea that you've got to get your best players on the pitch, but
Right,
I think that England disproved that. Like,
I think that that's true. They didn't select players who would be like, they didn't select the players to build the team around. It was just like, put them all out there, see what they do, right?
Yeah.
But you got to make decisions.
And let them play wherever they want.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I actually thought Bellingham was terrible in that tournament.
He was?
Like, why did Bellingham continue to start?
Overhead kick in the 90th.
No, but absolutely right.
I think he was in the wrong position the whole time.
And then you can say the same thing about Harry Kane. He scores the winning goal in that game, right? Like,
yeah.
But the team was not built around any of them. It was just all of them.
There are like rumors that Kane was injured the whole time. I would believe that. He did not look good.
He looked really he looked like he wasn't fit.
Yeah. And yeah, Bellingham, I mean, that was a big season for Jude. He played a lot of games. He was the most important player on the biggest team in the world and went all the way to the CL final and won it. He's very young. And yeah, he did not look good. There's a lot of, I guess that's a big story this week, is I think that I'm going to get this wrong, but I read about how the FA is joining the players or something like that in their lawsuit against CONCACAF and FIFA, or something like there are actions being taken around the schedule, how packed the schedule is.
Yeah, it's totally fucked up.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the season of the Club World Cup, which is this weird expanded summer tournament that will... What did I read? That Chelsea are building a squad with the assumption that they will be playing 85 to 90 matches this season.
That's ridiculous.
Because they'll be in the Club World Cup. You might not even know what that is. So if you win the Champions League, Luke, then you're World entered.
I was wondering how long Luke would let you go with that.
Oh no! We suck again.
Chelsea are getting into that. So they've expanded the format. They are having it every 4 years. And so the 4 previous winners of the Champions League are entered into the Club World Cup, and Chelsea just sneak into that. So it'll be a World Cup sized, I guess that'll be like South America's time to try to up their profile on the world stage, as the clubs that get entered into that. But yeah, it's too much. It's too many.
Yeah,
too many
rather
matches.
Never watch any of that than watch a high quality normal season.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, these players, there's obviously an upper limit to the amount you can put your body through, and with the injuries we've seen and players that aren't injured just looking gassed like Jude in that tournament, something's got to give.
Yeah, and I think that was true of that whole England team. They always look tired.
Yeah.
And so going back to Jude, right? I don't think Jude should have been the player to come out necessarily. But the fact was that coach did not make any brave substitutions or changes to the team the entire tournament. It was like a team without bravery, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. The Champions League expands this season too.
Yeah, because they're adding, 3 or 4 teams?
I don't know. I don't know how many teams it is. So there's the 2 from Europe at a minimum that get added, right? The coefficient. I think Italy and Germany got the additional berths, and it's going to be this crazy like I think they're randomly assigning like a number of fixtures and you get points, and then the top half of the entered teams enter the bracket, and then there's a playoff for the last few positions. So the CL, the number of fixtures being played in the CL this coming season is expanding. Last season was already ridiculous in the number of fixtures. I think I read they're making some tweaks to the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup to reduce the number of matches that are being played, like, and the amount of time in a match. Like, I think that there's going to be no extra time or going to a reverse fixture in the Carabao Cup this season. So like in the early ties, if you drew with a team away, then you would like do a replay at home for the Carabao Cup. I think they're doing away with that, and they're just going to go to like penalties. I don't know. So there are some like minor steps being made to reduce the number of fixtures, but it's not enough. They're expanding a lot faster than, yeah. I don't know. And I want to see the best players play. I don't want teams to have this like B team.
Yeah, it's entertainment, man. Like, there's no point in doing it if you're just going to give off like the second-rate stuff.
Yeah.
Second-rate product.
Yeah.
Put out some of those Americans. Get those Americans in those promotions.
Chelsea picked up some American. I don't even know who the dude is. They just signed some guy from the MLS, American player I know nothing about. I won't even pretend to know anything
that
about him.
15-year-old got signed by Man City, right? For when he was 18 or so, 16 or something.
I was going to say, he made his debut, right?
For
I don't know
Philly.
if he's got any stats, but he's been playing some minutes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just got his first debut.
Philadelphia is a terrible club, and his brother's still better at this point. But I mean, I don't know any reactions to that. I almost forgot to bring that up, but I think from my perspective, it's good for the U.S. game that we recognize talent that early, and we're able to elevate them and get them set up for success in Europe, where they need to be going. And I think it's good for the U.S. player pool in general, right? Like, anytime we're getting that level of talent. I know he's still eligible to play somewhere else, right? But I haven't seen anything to suggest that he would switch.
Yeah, I think it feels like a really early point in someone's career to put all that on. Still, like, the horror of Freddie Adu, right? Like we don't want that to happen to any more kids, But I think it's also is exciting that players are getting acknowledged in the U.S. development system early on. I just wish it wasn't such a big like media thing. I wish it was a little bit more under the cover. Like, let's keep it simple. Like, don't put that much pressure on these kids.
Yeah.
Cavan Sullivan is the name.
I couldn't come up with his name.
Couple
Cavan
weeks.
Sullivan.
But apparently he's made comments about like being excited to play for the Team USA already and stuff. Now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah, sweet. I hope he stays with the U.S. program.
So I think that all bodes well. I don't know. I mean, I guess on the other hand, it's also good for the MLS to kind of have some excitement about somebody other than Messi in the league too.
Yeah. I've been kind of like, honestly, like I think the best thing to come out of Messi being MLS is the production value, entertainment value of the game has increased. But I am like super over Messi mania for some reason. Like he hasn't played that much.
Derek's been over it for a decade.
Like I'm just like no like. I hear that, but coming to the MLS, like make it more about what's going on with other teams. Like the only notifications you get are about Miami. Like, fuck that shit,
I don't think the MLS minds. That's just going to continue until he retires because he's
when does he retire? I wonder.
I think he signed a 3-season deal.
Okay.
So he'll have 2 more. This one, and he got fucked up in that Copa final. Did you see his ankle?
In trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet he's really happy that he wasn't on that team bus.
Was he not on that team bus?
No, he was at the hospital. Yeah, he's probably so stoked that he jacked his ankle up and was nowhere near that shit. Yeah, Anyway, you want to? All right, so we'll transition. I don't know. Were there any other topics? I have a couple like kind of funny transfer things that we could talk about. So
I mean, the only other thing I'll say, I mean, for those interested, I mean, I've been doing a bad job of watching the Olympics in general, but the women looked good, and I think from an overarching theme there, I think they've taken well to Emma Hayes' tactics. She seems to have better cemented like what she wants to do there, and frankly, it's the most exciting soccer I've seen them playing in a long time, and so while I've talked about how good the attackers are on that team now, I think she's had a hand in continuing to propel that. So they play at 3 against Germany. That might be a potential statement game for them. So I'm excited to watch that. And the men got stomped out by France, apparently after playing them close, rebounded against New Zealand. And I forget who they're playing next, but they're in pretty good shape to advance to the quarterfinals. So, decent showing from them. Odd selections there, but I chalk that up more to having a completely incompetent U.S. Soccer Federation and subpar coaches.
They play Guinea on
Right.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
I don't watch Do you watch the Olympics, Luke?
I do. Not as much as I did when I was a kid, but I'll tune in.
The Olympics are just one of those things that have never made sense to me in my entire life. Like the fervor around it. It's like a bunch of like D-list sports.
Well, I like the Summer Olympics more actually because there's more team sports between when the U.S. is playing soccer and basketball.
Yeah.
And we have great Olympians in swimming, in their own right. But yeah, you're right. Like outside of the team games, like it's tough for me to get excited.
The biathlon, someone on skis with a gun.
But that's like, kind of what I kind of that.
Listen, Norway and Sweden have to have something to compete in. Okay.
Yeah,
I do appreciate that because it brings, this is a little cheesy, but it brings it back to that idea. Like it's really about loving the game. It's not about being a full-time famous athlete,
Yeah.
Maybe you'll break through into pop culture, but really most of those people there are just the best at a weird thing that they do.
Yeah.
And they're there to prove it. Like swimming, like in a pool, like, yes, that is it's an incredible athletic feat, but like,
Ryan went into visceral detail about how he feels about people that run for fun last week, so we probably don't need to rehash that.
I did listen to a little bit of that, and then I called Shannon immediately after and said, "Congratulations!
Yeah,
I'm so happy for you."
Yeah, she seems stoked about it, which is good. Last year was brutal, so this year definitely better. And we just never. I'm looking forward to going out and visiting her family and not starting off by feeling like shit. Like, I think it's just today that I'm starting to feel normal again from that trip, because like we fly out there. I'm up, like we're there for 2 days before she kicks off her race, and then I'm up for like 36 straight hours crewing for her. She's up and running. Then we're fucking maniacs for a couple days. We're just zombies while trying to hang out with her family. And then like as soon as we start to adjust, we're back on a plane across the country. Like, yeah.
But anyways, well, Ryan's making this all by himself. It is pretty badass that Shannon finished.
Sure, it is. Yeah. Yeah. All of that also affects her. Like I would say she's up for, she's up for 36 straight hours. She had heat stroke this year. Like we were having to cover up the fact that she was probably going to pass out when she was at the aid station.
Like she's fine, just like pushing her down.
Yeah. Don't pay attention to the fact that she's just fucking shaking for no reason. Like,
she does all the time.
Yeah, it's just the dumbest thing. I don't want to get on this again, but I can't believe how stupid people are. I was telling my friend about this, and he was like, "You need to just write a blog about your observation of these like
as an independent people. Observer."
Yeah, just like what the fuck is it? It replaces religion for the people who do this. Like they just have this like we don't exist on the same plane of existence anymore. Like they're in another universe where what they're doing is what truly living is.
Some might say the same about Luke.
Right, yeah. Luke is in a different reality from the rest of us for sure. But, yeah. All right, so Barcelona, the sad story that is Barcelona, they apparently approached Leipzig to make an offer for Dani Olmo, which Leipzig said was a surreal offer, where Barcelona proposed a $40 million fixed fee to be paid in 4 years from 2025, with 20 million in variable bonuses and that sort of thing. And that doesn't relate to league or Champions League titles won or anything like that. But Leipzig would receive $0 this transfer window. Like so like totally deferred payment until next year. Just like, why the hell would they do that? And then like the rumor is that they've told Nico Williams that they intend to come forward with an offer for him. They are just getting their house in order, and they've asked him to not accept offers from any other club, and yeah, so they're trying to work that out. But this is a club that doesn't have two fucking pennies to pinch together right now. It is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Like it's like just like hold on for a couple of years. Like use your academy, like invest in that, create some players, sell some players. They just keep going after these like big names. Like you don't have money for that shit. You're just digging your own grave.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for Barcelona, a $40 million fee, and Nico Williams' release is a 60, I think. His wages are going to be very high, but those are pretty small fees for that club. So they
don't
are
have
like
the money to do it.
But they have no money.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, it's all just baffling to me from a financial management standpoint. But
yeah, and how many bankruptcies have you been through?
Personally, or caused professionally, or just helped clean up professionally.
Yeah. For you to be like this, I haven't seen this before.
I wasn't at this. This company's gone through at least one bankruptcy, but that wasn't
the one that you're at now.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't know
should I tip off? I won't tip off to anyone. It has to do with environmental cleanup. But anyways,
I'm really rich.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all I got. I mean, there've obviously been tons of transfer. Chelsea picked up a goalie. I think they saw what Robert Sanchez did in that game, and they were like, "Let's fast track this." So they picked up like Villarreal's keeper Jorgensen. He's like a Swedish-born Dane who, I don't know. They paid $20 million for him. There's rumors that Petrovic will be moved on, but. Yeah, I don't know.
United picked up a new center back, immediately got hurt in preseason.
Oh, dude, yes.
Yori.
I saw that. Lenny Yoro.
Oh my God. Sucks.
Yeah. So that's funny for like, so I had to apologize last week. You missed that, Luke. But I said, so Lenny Yoro was notably a big target for Real Madrid, but they were not gonna, they didn't want to pay anywhere near what United, like I guess their valuation based on the risk with a very young player was closer to 20 million, and United came in and paid like 46 for him, and then he joined them for preseason and immediately went down with what looks like a very bad injury. He had to be consoled by the other players on the pitch. He was in tears. It looks really bad, and Ten Hag said after the match that it does not look good. Couldn't happen to a better club. I feel for Euro, but in the same way that like I don't care what happens to Tottenham players, I also don't care. Like you made your choice, so
yeah, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, like the cosmic horror Cthulhu whatever that is happening to Man United. If you choose to go there, then yeah, I mean, fuck around and find out. I guess I don't know.
Correct.
They moved Greenwood on. He went to some French team.
French
I
team.
think.
Yeah.
Did that actually close? Was it Marseille?
I think it closed. Dude, Marseille are buying anything that isn't bolted down. Isn't that where
Yeah, Marseille.
Isn't that where
Man,
Reina?
what a scumbag club. All right.
I think that's where Reina's linked. You're gonna have
Let's
to like
fucking
that
hope
scumbag.
not. I'm not gonna
club.
root for. Yeah, I'm not gonna watch that shit if Greenwood's there. I don't understand how Greenwood's not playing in a fourth world country like Spain again, but whatever.
He'd fit right in Saudi. Yeah, he's linked to Marseille. It looks like. What?
Yeah,
How
he's
do they
there,
have this
apparently.
money? Did they get bought out by someone? I don't. Yeah. What'd you say?
He's already there,
Reina?
apparently. Or sorry, Greenwood. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm talking about Reina. It looks
Oh,
like Reina's
gotcha.
heavily linked
Yeah.
with Marseille. All
Well,
right.
he does need to move on. So
Yeah. All right, guys. That's probably a pod. What are we at? Yeah, this is a good one. Pretty concise for us. So anyway, not a lot to cover. It's a preseason. I don't know when the league starts up. It's early August, mid-August, somewhere in there. So we're looking forward to that. But in the meantime, please leave a review, rate this podcast, like and subscribe wherever you're listening to this, and join our Discord. There's people joining every day, it seems, at this point. So join the community, and if we get 50 new people in the Discord, Luke has vowed to post once a day. So
I didn't promise that.
that will happen. That will
he doesn't
absolutely
remember
happen.
whether he did or didn't, anyways.
All right, you guys got anything else?
Nope.
Nope.
All right, we'll
Come on,
catch
you
you all
Spurs.
next week. Did you say fuck you, Spurs?
Come on, you Spurs.